So let's see some of the features of cryptocurrency, or you can call it the characteristics of cryptocurrencies. And the first one we're talking about the transactional properties. So the transactional properties basically represent certain things. Like the first thing has to do with Bitcoin transactions are irreversible. So it has pros and cons to it, but the transactions are designed in such a way that they're irreversible. So if you send money to someone, it cannot be reversed because there is no central authority. It's like when you send money over on the internet to someone else, you can't reverse the money, except you go to your bank, and the bank can now contact their bank and then reverse the money. But with cryptocurrencies, nothing like that. The number two thing is it's anonymous. It's something. It's designed in such a way that, like I was able to type for you. This is basically what you can use to address Bob. So you don't know who Bob is. The Bob account could just be this. Bob could represent himself by this. So you don't know who Bob is. You don't know where Bob lives. You don't even know if Bob is your neighbor. And another thing again about cryptocurrency, when the traditional properties has to do with, is fast and it's global. So though Bitcoin lags behind, and that's one of the things they want to face, but cryptocurrency extends beyond Bitcoin. So you have transactions that have almost a split second. There are like Ripple, maybe few seconds. There are other cryptocurrencies like minutes. Bitcoin take like 1 hour or 30 minutes, and the rest of them depending on the transaction time. So cryptocurrencies are fast. There is a project now that's talking about can process 1 million transactions per second, and it's global. And then the fourth thing is, when it comes to the transactional properties, is it's secure. So nobody can steal your money except they get hold of your private keys. That is why the most important thing when it comes to the cryptocurrency world is the issue of knowledge and security. Then the fifth thing has to do with it's permissionless and it's decentralized. So you don't need a bank. You don't need. So because you don't need a bank, it's permissionless. That all what basically happens is that a bunch of computers running codes to actually authenticate certain things. So you don't need permission. Anybody can open have a Bitcoin account. You don't need an ID. You don't need to be a certain years old. You don't need the complex processes to stand in the queue and the rest of them. When you want to send money, there is nothing like no, you can't send this money. You can't send such amount of money. You have to follow these regulations. You have to sign these documents. It's decentralized. It's permissionless. Now, when I say it's decentralized, meaning there is no single entity, and you can actually say, okay, this is Bitcoin's headquarters. No, there's something like that. Basically, different people all over the world who confirms this transaction. You authorize the transaction with your private keys. That is why if anybody gets hold of the private keys, they can actually send funds. And then there are people all over the world, computers, it's a decentralized network of computers all over the world that actually confirms these transactions. So that's one of the properties, transactional properties. And then secondly is the monetary properties. So we talk about Bitcoin as a currency, the economic side of it. Bitcoin as money. When we talk about the issues of Bitcoin being a store of value as a medium of exchange and then as a unit of account. So all the characteristics or features of Bitcoin when as a monetary properties is it has a controlled supply. So when we say something has a controlled supply, it's not like when the government says, okay, the economy is not going as we expected, and we are not seeing foreign investment pouring in, and we can't have access to loans. What do? Okay, let's order the Federal Reserve or the central bank to print in more money into the system, pump in more money into the system. And you know that whenever new currencies are pumped to the system, we could solve an immediate need, but we are actually creating a hole in the future of the economy. So that is where you see prices skyrocketing. You see that the money or the currency has little to no value because there is inflation. And because there is inflation, one of the things that comes with inflation is there will be unemployment in the many stuff. So these things are interwoven. So one of the features of Bitcoin is it has a controlled supply. Now, it will not be said to say control per se, but the best word to use it has a limited supply. So when we say something is limited, we are saying it's finite. We are saying that it cannot exceed we were saying it has a limit. So Bitcoin has a limit. All cryptocurrencies has a limit. However, we can also say cryptocurrencies has control supply because there are different cryptocurrencies. There are currencies that once you just create them, you say, okay, this is what will be the number. It's going to be Y amount of Bitcoins of that cryptocurrency, sorry. And then there are others that we say every 5 years, or maybe when they create them, they agree on certain things. Every 5 years, we're going to be putting maybe 1% into. We'll be bringing extra 1% of that cryptocurrency. Depends on. So the cryptocurrencies, the feature is some are limited, how limited is supply. Others have a controlled supply in the sense. So you can call those that have a limited supply deflationary, and the ones that have limited supply deflationary, and then the ones that have a controlled supply, maybe 1% is being printed a certain amount of time, we could call it inflationary. Okay, so moving on, the second feature of Bitcoin, the monetary properties, is no debt but bearer. So what basically happens is when the bank issues money, the bank issues a debt to you. I owe you. So, but with Bitcoin, nobody have that money. If you don't have money, you cannot spend anything with Bitcoin. You may buy things on credit, but it's not like how the bank works. So, Bitcoin, there is nothing like debt with Bitcoin. And then it's the third property I want to talk about is Bitcoins, or cryptocurrencies, cryptographical I want to talk about the cryptographical or cryptography, the cryptographic properties or cryptographical properties. So you might be asking, okay, how does cryptography works? Let me give you a very brief history of how cryptography works. So cryptography was used in by the ancients by some military generals in such a way that certain stuffs were written that made no sense to those who were not part of the system. So there were things like ciphers, cipher text. So a cipher text is written, is a kind of text that is agreed between two persons and you that is not in the circle, you cannot really understand. So a ciphertext is basically an apparent nonsense to the adversary listening on the communication channel or viewing on the communication channel, but the recipient only knows how to translate the original message. I hope I've been able to explain that. So what basically happens is, supposing you are from China, you speak Chinese, and not now where everybody can speak Chinese. What basically happens is, when two persons, let's say in a room, you have 3 persons, and someone cannot understand Chinese. He might hear Chinese with the hearing of the ear, but cannot give interpretation to what these two parties are actually saying. So he might hear everything, but he cannot give meaning to it. That is what cryptography is all about. So, but cryptography is not a language like the Chinese, where everybody in China can understand. Cryptography is basically a language that only certain parties know and can understand. And then, if you want to go in deep, of which I did not really want to put in this course, you can start learning certain principles like the Keshel's principle, and then learn things like cypherpunks and the history of cryptography, when we want to learn epileptic curves, signatures, and the rest of them. So, but we don't want to go into the technical sides of it, though we will be forced in much later videos to talk about certain technical side of it when we're talking about certain attacks that actually works in the system. We're talking about how the underlying transaction, how they actually works, because when I will be explaining how certain attacks actually works in the system, I will be forced to explain certain technical side of it. But you need not bother, because it's not really difficult to understand. So guys, I hope I've been able to explain the features or the characteristics of cryptocurrencies from the transaction point of view to the monetary part of it, and then to the cryptographical part of it. So guys, thanks for watching the video up to now. There is still more to come. Like I tell people, the folly, there is greater folly in beginning before knowing. So you have to sit down and count the cost. What does it take for me to have a very successful journey in what I'm about to embark in? You don't just say because you have money and you want to come to the space. No. If you have knowledge, you have the right knowledge, you'll be able to make very good decisions, that you'll be able to turn the little you have into so much that after a specific amount of time, someone who started even earlier than you and with much more resources than you, when you sit down with them and maybe you are talking about the returns so far, those persons will be fascinated at the returns on investment on the little you have, simply because you have what they don't have. It is called knowledge. It is knowledge that distinguishes people. And not just knowledge, but the right application of knowledge. So you must have two things. You must have the knowledge, and then you must put in the applications. So guys, have a very good day.